Assalamualaikum and hi, we are from Group 2 and we will be talking about Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell from the Post-Colonial Theory Framework for the class Text Theory and Criticism in NJL 2330. Our members include Shazanani Atika, metric number 2318136, Nur Ainur Irdina, metric number 2315782, Haibah Hakimah, metric number 2317178, and me, Nur Ain Zulaika, metric number 2313912.
Discussing Shooting the Elephant by George Orwell feels impossible without acknowledging the power dynamic that is seen in the narrative. Although it's clear that the protagonist is in the middle of the power hierarchy as an extension of the colonial power reinforcing the colonization of the Brits, the more obvious power dynamic here is between him and the Burmese, which are the people who are colonized in this situation. The power dynamic he shares with the Burmese is somewhat symbiotic in the sense that he claims to share the pain that they have, opposing the British colonizing power, but also is hated by them for his position as part of the British colonization. It may be due to this hate that he feels somewhat pressured to kill the elephant, even though he didn't want to in the first place. In the end, after killing the elephant, he is haunted by the ethics of his decision. I often wondered whether any of the others groused that I had done it solely to avoid looking like a fool. In this sense, while he is an extension of the colonizing power, he too is colonized by the societal pressure as part of the colonizing power. The power dynamic here is based off position and the expectations that come with it. The irony of the character's position is found in the way that he is stuck in the middle. He feels for the colonized Burmese, also opposing the British colonization in secret, though he is hated by them and is expected to uphold the performance of power as a British officer by them. In this sense, he is stuck in the middle, unable to pick or make a decision of his own, and only allowed to follow directions, accepting orders not only from the British government, but also from the people of Burma.
The elephant as a representation of colonialism. The elephant in this essay served as a symbol of colonialism when it decided to wreak havoc against the local Burmese population and they were helpless against it. The elephant here acts as an imperialist when it had already destroyed a bamboo hut, killed a cow, and it has also turned over a van with a man inside it and inflicted violences upon the man, as this is similar to what the British Empire is doing to Burma, and it is taking and consuming what it wants without any thoughts on how it will affect the local people. And inflict violences on anyone who stood in its way. We are further told that it is a tame elephant, which is a reference to the British, who was the epitome of civilization, yet they are committing atrocious acts against the innocent people under the guise of the empire. Just as the elephant had gone mad or wild in this moment. When the narrator finds the elephant, he says, "I knew with perfect certainty that I ought not to shoot him. It is a serious matter to shoot a working elephant. It is comparable to destroying a huge and costly piece of machinery, and obviously one ought not to do it if it can be possibly avoided." And at that distance, peacefully eating, the elephant looked no more dangerous than a cow. In this quote, the empire is a costly piece of machinery, and the narrator doesn't want to be the one responsible to start a chain reaction in undoing the British Empire's power. Furthermore, the elephant was found consuming others' resources, but doing so peacefully. This may refer to British citizens who live far away from imperialized regions and having no idea the true nature of things, believe in the good of the empire, such as the notion of spreading Christianity, putting an end to local policies or traditions that they found barbaric and problematic, and extending civilization to areas they believe lack it. However, this is not how the oppressed subjects, the Burmese, saw it. The Burmese reactions to the elephant is telling, as they treat it as a circus show to be gleefully consumed. Once it's dead, they strip it down to the bone, symbolizing how the Burmese is finally taking back the resources that were taken from them.
Alright, moving on to the next theme, identity and alienation. The definition of identity is the characteristic, traits, values, beliefs, and experiences that define an individual or group. It is how people understand themselves and are recognized by others in relation to their personal attributes or social roles, and it can be both personal and collective. Next, the definition of alienation. It is a feeling of disconnection, and it occurs when individuals perceive a lack of meaning, belonging, or control in their lives. Alienation can manifest in various forms such as self-alienation, social alienation, and cultural alienation. Now, both of the definitions have been mentioned. It is time for us to relate this theme back to our short story. For the first point for identity, is conflict between personal and social identity. The narrator, a British colonial officer, struggles with his dual identity as an enforcer of imperial rule and a person who harbors private doubts about imperialism. His personal values clash with the expectation of his role, creating an internal conflict between his authentic self and the identity imposed on him by his colonial position. Next, performative identity. The narrator feels compelled to act in a way that aligns with the expectations of the Burmese crowd to maintain the image of authority and control. He chooses the elephant even though he personally sees no need for it. This reflects how external pressures shape identity, forcing individuals to conform to roles rather than act authentically. For the first point of alienation, which is alienation from society, the narrator feels isolated from the Burmese people who resent him as a symbol of colonial oppression. Despite his authority, he is subject to their mockery and hostility, heightening his sense of detachment. His alienation is compounded by his role as a representative of an imperial system he secretly despises. And last point, alienation within colonialism. Orwell portrays the broader alienation inherent in imperialism. Both the oppressors, which is colonial officers like the narrator himself, and the oppressed, which is the Burmese people, are trapped in a system that dehumanizes and estranges them from each other and themselves. So, in conclusion, Shooting an Elephant, Orwell uses the narrator's internal and external conflicts to explore how identity is shaped, constrained by social roles and expectations, and how alienation is a consequence of oppressive systems like imperialism. These themes highlight the complex interplay between individual agency and societal pressures.
And next, I'll be delving into the theme of colonial resistance portrayed in the essay Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. So to begin, the British officer faces a deep internal conflict throughout the essay. Apparent from the title, Shooting an Elephant, the officer had to shoot the animal not because he believes it's necessary, but instead he did it to avoid looking weak before the locals. So in other words, his actions were dictated by the colonized. So this incident is apparent from the numerous treatment of the Burmese towards the European officer. So in page 3, the narrator said, "They did not like me, but with the magical rifle in my hands, I was momentarily worth watching. And suddenly, I realized that I should have to shoot the elephant after all. The people expected it of me, and I had got to do it. I could feel their 2,000 wills pressing me forward irresistibly." So by gathering to witness the phenomenon of the elephant's death, the colonized manipulated the situation to their advantage, forcing the British officer into a position where he must act against his own will to avoid looking like a fool. So ultimately, this behavior of the Burmese reflects a form of colonial resistance as it undermines the imperialist autonomy through collective pressure where the locals choose to inflict harmless yet humiliating acts towards the European officer. So ultimately, in Shooting an Elephant, the Burmese people's resistance shows just how fragile colonial power can be. So by pressuring the officer to act against his own will, this essay reveals how much imperial authority relies on the cooperation and perception of the colonized. This subtle resistance highlights the agency of the colonized in challenging colonial rule, even without open rebellion. Through this lens, Orwell's essay explores the complex power dynamics and potential for resistance within colonial systems.